Thank you, ma'am. Am I audible? Okay, I need to check this every time. You never know. Next up, we have a keynote address on the licensing outlook of 2023-2024. Now, this is going to be a deep dive into the latest trends and a spotlight on the strategies that brands, agents, and licensees are adopting for 2024, and the collaborations defining the future of licensing. Too many details for a Monday or a Sunday morning, sorry. Let me ask you a simple question. How many of you have heard of Chhota Bheem? Yeah, so basically everyone, right. I'm going to call upon stage the man behind Chhota Bheem. I'd like to welcome on stage Mr. Rajiv Chilaka, founder and managing director, Green Gold Animation Private Limited. Sir, stage is all yours.
Hello. Hello. Can you hear me? Hello. Yeah. Great. Morning, everyone. And I think, like he said, it is pretty difficult to be here on a Sunday morning. It's still only and I've come all the way from Hyderabad and yet to have my cup of coffee. So I'm going to stammer a bit. Today, I think, like I just got introduced, I am founder and CEO of Green Gold Animation. I'm creator of Chhota Bheem. So we have created Chhota Bheem, which is one of India's largest animation brands. We recently celebrated 15th anniversary of Bheem. On Bheem, we have done more than 100 licensing deals, out of which about 40 are active currently. And besides that, a lot of merchandise sold over the years, more than 10 million comics sold, and books, merchandise, more than 300 SKUs we have produced so far. But during COVID and post-COVID, we have slowed down a bit. We are refiguring out our strategy. It was a good time to kind of, reboot everything. And I think the topic here today is licensing outlook 23-24. Yes, but it has been a difficult year, I think, overall for last 2-3 years for merchandise as well as license industry, because it wasn't the normal hustle and bustle and activity. It's good to see such a brilliant event here. It's my first time in Mumbai for this event, so I'm pretty excited to catch a bit more of it. So I'm going to talk about a little bit about different topics, because I think overall I have 15 to 20 minutes, so I'm going to keep it brief. But some of you may know that we are producing a Chhota Bheem live action film. So I started researching, like, hey, what is everybody doing? And then we were thinking the film Barbie got released. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that film a little later on in the next thing. So I'm going to just touch upon today a little bit of nostalgia. What is happening, and like how brands are using nostalgia to kind of reach out to the consumer. Then how local brands trying to grow global. May not be ideal time to go in the last few years, but I think the time is set, the stage is set, I think, for Indian brands to go global. And of course, a lot has happened in edutech gaming space, and even in terms of sports licensing, like we just heard from Ritu that 200 crore worth of t-shirts were, the jerseys were sold, Indian team jerseys were sold in a single day. That's crazy. That's something that I'll tell everybody now. So I think we've seen a little bit of nostalgia used even in Bollywood. I think the recent example is Rocky or Rani. I'll talk about it. So we have seen Archie's coming, Indian version of Archie's coming up. We are seeing some companies. Example, Caravan from Sarigama, old music, and then I think Shemaru is doing with a lot of Bollywood 70s, 80s movies. They have a big library of that. So of course, I think nostalgia. Whenever a brilliant marketing mind will always kind of connect with when we are able to connect our childhood to something, and that we have grown up, it always works. You know, I mean, giving an example of an ad where we heard from Bajaj, you know, जब मैं छोटा बच्चा था बहुत शरारत करता था. Those kind of ads always worked in Indian market because we like to go back to the past. We like to, you know, compare generations, you know, how it was that generation, this generation, next one. And of course, maybe not the young guys, but I think people who are in their 40s or above definitely know these know these brands. And it always works because you tend to have fond memories. As kids, we were always happy. I mean, no matter what. So that was a fabulous time. Recently, I mean, if you have watched Rocky or Rani, I think what they have done brilliantly is they've licensed Hindi music, old songs, basically like songs from 60s, 70s and 80s or even sometime 90s to reach out basically to those are beautiful songs. Of course, they used very well in the movie, and I'm sure they paid tons of money to license their songs. And also there were some inbuilt advertising in the film, like Sarigama's Caravan was there, the one which sells songs on it. Then they've also done some brilliant campaigns on Spotify through Sarigama again, wherein basically they encourage people to create their own reels and stuff using the songs from the film. So in recent times, I think this was one good success story what we have seen in the Indian space. And of course, I mean, the biggest story has for me has been Barbie. I think a brand which is, I think, created in 1959, almost 63 or 64 years old. Suddenly, out of the blue, a film is launched, makes $1.3 billion at the box office. And when I first heard about this film coming, everybody said, you know, it is, who's going to watch Barbie? I mean, only it's a girl-centric movie. I said, I don't know, I think it sounds like a great idea. And it turned out to be one of the biggest success at the box office worldwide. And they have done some phenomenal, I mean, there are tons of marketing material out on the website, on the web. You must check it out because, I mean, it's a great case study on how to, you know, launch a brand which is already existing or known. In this case of Barbie, they've done over 100 retail. And I mean, you would assume Barbie to be a girl-centric product or woman-centric product, but still they crack deals with Xbox. You know, it's a very, very boy market. But I saw that both boys and girls went to see the film, and I think the marketing was so brilliant. If you see this pink house, it's not a toy that you're buying. It's actually this is I think it's an Airbnb in Malibu in LA, near LA, and this basically you can rent and live basically 1 day or 2 days or how long. It's like a staycation where you get to see live like Barbie. So they did some brilliant campaigns like that, and of course they were pretty clever in making sure that the film was, you know, typically I think Barbie had launched their first you know, colored toys, I think in 60s, 68 or something. So they were pretty understood the market well back then itself. So they made sure that all people from different races were also part of the film, playing very important roles in the film. And of course, the engagement for the user, which is always very important, you know, like, you know, everybody would like to, you know, today most people are very active on Insta or, you know, X or Twitter and other things, if not even WhatsApp. So people like to post their stuff, and you know that, I mean, everyone is a Barbie is a good example of how people were posting that went viral. And then there was a Insta, I think there was a filter with which everyone can become a Barbie. So these kind of things really worked very well for film. And the most, I think, to keep it brief, there were two important lessons for me that is learned by me. One, you target your audience with precision, and then they target with passion. So Barbie's main target was not children. Uh, it was for people, women between 20 to 30-year-old cosmopolitan. That was the primary audience. Of course, we saw that even 40-year-old guys went to see the film, or boys went to see it, 10 teenagers went to see the film. I think with I don't know, like when we did long back, there's also a 3D Barbie movie on Cartoon Network or Pogo. It used to come. So when I studied the ratings of that, there was this one particular Barbie Goes to Beach film that had more boys audience watching than girl audiences. So that was very surprising for me. Not as a boy, but I wasn't expecting that so many people would be watching Barbie, and then it turned out to be, I mean, great step. And I think when we saw that when Barbie launched, this kind of success wasn't expected, and they were pretty smart in understanding that you have to target your audience in the long run. They were not looking at a short, just make a film and just try to see what you can monetize. They had a very well thought strategy. They targeted this 20 something woman who is in the near future likely to have children, or at least her friends or family members, somebody is going to have children, and they're all going to buy Barbies and stuff. So that was and also the women in 20s are usually working, so they have money and then they will spend. So there were some really brilliant strategies used in this film, and that was basically a brief on Barbie. But I really think there is a scope for a lot of Indian brands, Indian films, to do such kind of marketing using such collaborations. I think probably we couldn't do that in the last few years due to various reasons, but I think the time is apt. The way Indian economy is growing, the way how we are traveling so fast inside of India, all this is going to help. And India has got a cosmopolitan culture, open-mindedness, and I think so. All these kind of things are going to be a huge plus for this licensing things. And one of the trends that we saw in the last few years is also, upcoming lot of branded cafes and lounges started from FTV, F Cafe. I mean, there was F Bar, then there's F Cafe, and recently there was Playboy. So we are seeing a lot of these kind of trends happening. Edutech and gaming were pretty huge, especially in the COVID days. I think we all know about story of Byju's and stuff, how it became such a demand that everybody go to school but also study at home using these apps on Edutech, that you are able to understand it more visually and more clearly. And of course, gaming also, India is typically a huge market for gaming, and I think with the advent of PS4, PS5 and other Xbox and other gaming devices, we are seeing this happen. Not just boys today, everybody pretty much plays games, and especially mobile games have been and they've been using existing or well-known brands to the games are revolving around that. And of course, we talked a little bit about sports licensing, and like we're seeing that for the World Cup, ICC World Cup, you've seen that merchandise sale of Indian jerseys were on all-time high. There is also, I still think there is huge potential in IPLs, which we haven't seen it quite. It's not been that success story. I think one of the few franchises that has done very well was Chennai Super Kings. I think they were pretty loud and clear about their strategies and stuff. IPL is also a very difficult window, like every year comes for 40 days and then you can do that. But I think definitely there is a huge scope in sports licensing. I think we are also hearing stories about India doing very well at FIFA qualifiers. I think they recently defeated Kuwait. So again, I've never seen a football India jersey till I saw the game other day. and it was pretty interesting jersey. So I think again we're going to see a lot of sports. I mean, with the success that is happening at the world level for Indian sportsmen, I think this is going to be an area that is going to be increasing. We have also seen our own brand, Mighty Little Beam. We've recently launched, it's a Netflix original. So in 2019, it was launched, and it's done 3 seasons, and it's a very well traveled brand. More than 27 million households outside of India have watched it's a preschool show, so basically targeting 2 to 6 years audience, and it's done extremely well, not just in India, but of course across the globe, South America, North America, Europe, Russia, and all parts of the world. And we were little limited, we couldn't capitalize on the success of this brand, Mighty Little Beam, as major reason being COVID, and we couldn't do much on it. But now we started to work on that, and we have done some licensing deals already for this one with US and French companies, and we're looking excited about doing more on this front. And most recently, I think, of course, piracy is a major concern also when we talk about licensed products, but also today we have an option to directly buy from retail and e-commerce stores directly online, where we know for a fact that these are going to be genuine products. And of course, no matter what, I think erasing piracy is not going to be very easy. I've been traveling in top malls in the world, and there is one store which will say this is an original store, and there's a store right opposite to that which is also got the same name, but they say it is 50% it is cheaper, and they say it is this guy says that store is fake, that guy says this store is fake. So this story I didn't understand, so hopefully next time when I am here, or so I'll be able to cover that. Of course, Bollywood celebrities especially are kind of integral part of our culture, especially for the entertainment culture that India has got. And today we have seen, of course, here we have 3 Bollywood stars, but one cricketer. So we have seen their brands kind of take a front seat. They're doing pretty well. Everyone knows Being Human is Salman Khan's. Everyone knows Wrong is Virat Kohli's. The other 2 brands are all right. So I think this is something that again there is a huge scope in the market, and of course there are a lot of new celebrities, young celebrities. Their style statements are completely different from the seniors, and we will definitely have a huge role to play in that in the future. We also seen that a lot of products that got released this year were basically collaborated licensed products, like you saw Sabyasachi and Starbucks had a campaign. Then I think Masba had a campaign. Then of course you saw Hershey's and Chocos come together. So these kind of brand integration always plus for both the brands, and it will always do well for both of them. In recent times, of course, China has taken a little bit of a backseat for whatever reason. They have, a lot of products that were being made in China are now slowly being shifted. The factories are not doing so well. Probably they are not very cost competitive, but things have started happening, and of course, lot of people are promoting. Especially in India, we are promoting made in India brands, and we are buying more made in India brands. Recently, even Diwali, the crackers, a lot of these were not imported from China or anything. They were made in Sivakasi, and we have bought that. And we are also seeing a lot of merchandise from other parts. Disney merchandise or other companies' merchandise is being produced and made in India, which is a positive trend. Then of course we are seeing also early brand introductions, that is basically brands that have been existing for more than a decade. People have started to introduce to the children at young age. So like Beam has a diaper license with Bum Tum. Then of course we have other products also which are targeted towards infant audiences. And today we're also seeing that there is it's no longer a merchandise, or license of big brands is no longer just targeted towards kids. It is also adults are wearing superheroes, or even the childhood favorite characters, and they're pretty bold in doing that, and they are wearing more colorful clothes than before. I think we're seeing more people, not just black, white or brown colors. We're seeing more colorful things coming up. And of course, digital media influence is pretty huge. I'm not just in India but everywhere across the world. And I think in the interest of time, I will end my presentation here. I want to share one thing that we are talking about, nostalgia and brands. So Chhota Bheem has been around for 15 years, and this May 2024 we are launching the film on. It's a live action film. I have a teaser that I would like to share with you all, and we are currently working on plans on how do we take this film not just in to theaters, but also do licensing with products and collaborations with brands, and do a lot of events and stuff, and hopefully we will do that successfully. And we are looking to work with more people on that front, young brains who understand this thing. Please connect with us, and we're looking forward to that. Can I please request for the trailer? Sound please.
महाराज ने भीम को 1000 साल पहले वाले सोलापुर में भेज दिया है।
आयुष्मान भव।
गुरु शंभु, हम भविष्य से आए हैं।
दाम्यान दूसरी काल क्रिया को समाप्त करने की खुशियां मना रहा है।
क्या?
दमयान अमर है।
तुमने इनको सबसे आजाद कर दिया।
Do I have time to take questions? Anyone, any questions? Sorry, sir? Usually yes, not always, but I think if I say it typically it should be the right thing to do, what you just said. Do you want to just repeat for the audience the question?
Hello, good morning everybody. I am Puneet Saxena. See, I just wanted to ask you whether the brand is co-terminus with the product. We have seen many brands coming up, like if you recall, many of the people who are of my age must recall that we had a brand called Ambassador, and the product failed ultimately. It lived its life. So similarly, my question is whether the product and the brand are co-terminus or brand lives even after that. That's my question. Thank you.
So in terms of a good brand basically will have many products, You know, when we are, I mean, it depends on what kind of a particular brand we are talking about, but definitely I think they should be coterminous with the product, and in certain cases it may not be, but it still works, because certain times, you know, even though you may be you may be a fan of some product and you're just wearing it on your shirt or your shoes or anything. So if you example go to a Gucci store or something, it is people who buy product is started with handbags and few things, but today you will see shoes, you know, men's wallet. It's not just targeting just one customer, but it goes beyond that, and sometimes you see merchandise, you see watches, so it keeps growing on you. But ideally, I mean, it's a nice question. I mean, I think it both works both ways. Sometimes it works to be, but sometimes it's also okay not to be coterminous. Any other question?
Rajiv, great presentation so far. Loved it. And I'm into the metaverse world. I work with metaverse development and all that. So, how are the brands leveraging the metaverse or Web3 in perspective of the presentation that you gave in terms of, example, Barbie? Like, are they leveraging the metaverse? Especially, I know like there's a lot of things are happening in terms of Decentraland and all that, right? So, summarizing it, how are the brands leveraging the metaverse and Web3? And do you have plans to get into the metaverse with Chota Beam, creating like an experience there? Do you have plans for that?
So, in terms of metaverse, of course, I think there is, I don't know if you have heard of this Indian metaverse called as Party Night. I think it has done, they have done some concerts with the
Daler Mehendi concert.
They have done, I think they had Neeraj Chopra come on the metaverse. Then there are, I think Airtel has a movie theater inside of that metaverse. I think there is an alcohol brand, I forgot the name. They had a shop inside of, I think it's Bagpiper, I'm not very sure. So they had a shop inside of that. There are events being conducted inside of metaverse. But I think still the users in India or pretty much world, they're not, I mean, it's only the, what I say, computers, extremely computer savvy kids have figured out how to get onto the metaverse. But it is not as easy on getting on Instagram for most people. So I think still we have a long way to go on Instagram, on metaverse. As I mean, the moment it is as easy to maneuver, I think that will be the time to go. I think the same goes with AR and VR. It is, you know, it's been there for some time, but they are tricky to explore. And how do you monetize? I mean, we have seen those VR headset which works very well for the metaverse universe. So when you wear it, it is kind of makes you dizzy after 10-15 minutes. But coming back to metaverse, I think Chota Beam may not be a right fit for metaverse at this moment, because Chota Beam primarily targets to audience below 14 and metaverse is more for audience above 16. But yeah, we probably will do that in the near future. With this film, we are targeting at kind of young adults. So let's see how that goes.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I think one, I got inspired from what Disney has done with Jungle Book, then what they have done with Lion King. Of course, Lion King is total CG, but they made it look like live. And then there was Aladdin. Now recently we saw Little Mermaid. So with all these films coming, I think I felt it's time we have live action version of Chota Beam. Majorly because I think today a person, so Beam was launched in 2008. So a person who was, let's say, 8 years old in 2008 is today 23 years old. So they kind of are also the audience to the film, and I felt it will be great for a nostalgia factor. The Curse of Damayan, the film we've already made in 2012 and released, and one of the best box office success for Chota Beam films. So I felt it will be great to kind of remake the same film. We have of course added more layers. We've casted, you know, some good kids and big stars like Anupam Kher, Makaran Deshpande. So these characters we brought in, and you know, kind of it's always great. Like people don't mind seeing 2-3 versions of the same thing because they are very curious. And I think when it comes to live, the feeling that, the person is real, I think the emotions get even stronger, and, it all automatically caters to a larger age group audience, unlike an animated film, which is typically 14 or below is the target audience. Thank you.
Last question, and I am going to give 3 seconds for that. 3, 2, okay, the lady in white right at the end, could we give her a mic, please?
Hi, I'm Ishika. My question is that right now you're targeting a very sensitive audience. Like mostly it's Gen Z audience, right? So the characters, as far as I remember, character like Kalia or Indumati, she was, mostly portrayed as a damsel in distress. So how are you changing it according to the sensitivity of today's generation, or are you continuing the same pattern?
No, we definitely we have to adapt to every generation, and so in terms of for this film in particular, we are making sure that the diverse Indian culture is basically taken care of. No one's feelings are hurt or anything. More importantly, we have made today's kids are much smarter than the kids, or I mean, the audience likes much more complex storytelling today. So we ensured in writing everything of that has been taken care. I mean, we made sure, sometimes, silly jokes which may hurt somebody's feelings, we made sure that none of those are there, calling somebody fat or dark or those kind of jokes are not there. It's a big no-no for our brand, and we're taking care of that. And let's see, I mean, of course, Indumati is also in the film, and she has not a much big role in this one, but the core team of Bheem, Chutki, Raju, Jagu, Dolu Bolu, Kalia, these guys are there, and of course it's an adventure. I mean, you saw the trailer, so did you think it was decent trailer? Yeah, okay.
It was pretty good. I have a follow-up question. If
We don't have time for follow-up questions, unfortunately, so you can talk to Rajiv once he's off stage. Before the token of appreciation, Rajiv, please stay on stage. I really love the trailer. The fact that you had Anupam Kher in it, in a larger-than-life role. We haven't seen something like that from Mr. Kher since the 90s. There was Makran Deshpande. If you also have a role for me in any of the previous films or the other films, do let me know. We'll be in touch. But before that, I'd like to call upon stage Ritu Maria, Editor-in-Chief of Entrepreneur and Retailer Media, to give out a token of appreciation to Rajiv.
I love the trailer.
Oh, thank you.
If we could have the token of appreciation on stage.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Green gift.
Those are those photos which are going to be going up on our